In a lively neighborhood in Chicago where laughter echoed through the streets and neighbors knew each other by name, lived a young girl named Maya Johnson. At just 12 years old, Maya was already known for her big dreams and kind heart. She had a knack for baking. Her cookies were soft, her cupcakes fluffy, and her lemonade perfectly sweet. But this wasn't just about treats. It was about making a difference. Maya wanted to join her school's robotics team, a chance to show that kids like her could shine in science and technology. The only problem, the program needed funding and her family couldn't afford the fees. Maya didn't let that stop her. Instead, she came up with a plan, a bake sale. With the help of her grandmother Ruth, who everyone called Grandma Ruth, they spent days preparing. Grandma Ruth, a retired teacher with hands as steady as her wisdom, taught Maya how to make perfect batches of chocolate chip cookies and buttery shortbread. Together, they decorated colorful posters that read, "Help send Maya to robotics." They set up their little stand on the front lawn early Saturday morning, arranging trays of goodies under a bright yellow umbrella. The smell of fresh baking wafted through the air, drawing curious neighbors closer. As the sun climbed higher, so did the line of customers. Kids stopped by after finishing their chores, parents bought snacks while walking their dogs, and even Mr. Thompson, the grumpy man from down the block, cracked a smile when he tasted one of Maya's caramel brownies. Maya beamed with pride, counting coins and handing out napkins. Every dollar earned felt like another step toward her dream. Her grandma sat nearby in a folding chair, cheering her on. "You're doing great, sweetheart," Ruth said, patting Maya's shoulder. "This is just the beginning." But not everything stayed sunny for long. Around noon, a police cruiser rolled up to the curb, its lights flashing but no siren blaring. Two officers stepped out, their expressions stern. One asked loudly, "Who gave you permission to do this?" Maya froze, her heart skipping a beat. Permission? She hadn't thought about permits or rules. She was just trying to raise money for something good. Before she could answer, "Grandma." Ruth stood up, leaning on her cane. "This is my granddaughter's dream," she said firmly. "She's not hurting anyone." The tension grew thicker as the officers questioned them further. Neighbors began to gather, sensing trouble. Some shouted encouragement, telling the cops to leave Maya alone. Others filmed the scene on their phones. What started as a joyful day turned into something unsettling. And then, in a moment that would change everything, one of the officers raised his voice, gesturing sharply. In the chaos, Grandma Ruth stumbled backward, falling hard onto the sidewalk. Gasps rippled through the crowd as Maya rushed to her side, tears streaming down her face. For a few seconds, time seemed to stop. The once cheerful bake sale now looked like a scene from someone else's nightmare. Maya held her grandma's hand tightly, feeling anger and fear bubbling inside her. Why was this happening? All she wanted was to follow her dreams, to make her family proud. As the officers finally got back into their car and drove away, leaving behind confusion and hurt, Maya knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. Something bigger was coming, whether she was ready for it or not. The once happy atmosphere of Maya's bake sale was now shattered. The laughter and chatter that had filled the air just moments ago were replaced by murmurs of disbelief and anger. Neighbors huddled together, some shaking their heads in frustration while others knelt beside Grandma Ruth, who lay on the ground clutching her wrist. Her face showed pain, but her eyes, still sharp despite everything, reflected a deep sadness. Maya sat close to her grandma, tears streaming down her cheeks as she whispered, "I'm so sorry this happened because of me." A few people rushed to help. Mrs. Patel, who lived across the street, brought a blanket to wrap around Ruth, while Mr. Jenkins fetched an ice pack from his house. Someone else called for an ambulance, though Ruth insisted she didn't need one. "It's just my pride that's hurt," she said softly, trying to smile through gritted teeth. But everyone could see it wasn't just pride. Her wrist looked swollen, and she winced every time she moved it. Still, even in pain, Ruth tried to comfort Maya, patting her hand gently. "Don't cry, baby girl, we'll get through this." As word spread about what had happened, more neighbors gathered at the scene. Some expressed outrage over how the officers had treated a child and an elderly woman. Others shared stories of similar encounters they'd had with law enforcement, their voices rising with emotion. A young man named Marcus, who often played basketball with Maya's older cousin, stepped forward holding his phone. "I recorded everything," he said firmly. "If anyone tries to twist this story, we've got proof." His words brought a small sense of relief to Maya, though her heart still felt heavy. Meanwhile, Maya couldn't stop replaying the events in her mind. She remembered the way the officers ignored her polite explanations, the dismissive tone in their voices, and the moment when Grandma Ruth fell. It all felt surreal, like something out of a movie she never wanted to watch. For the first time in her life, Maya felt powerless. All she'd wanted was to raise money for her robotics team, a simple, harmless goal. But now her dream seemed tainted by something much bigger than herself. By late afternoon, the crowd began to thin as people returned to their homes or helped clean up the remnants of the bake sale. Trays of cookies sat abandoned, ants already gathering around them. The bright yellow umbrella that once shaded Maya's stand now lay crumpled on the grass, its cheerful color dulled by the day's events. Maya sat quietly beside her grandma, staring at the empty street where the police cruiser had disappeared. She wondered if those officers would ever think about what they'd done, or realize how much damage they'd caused. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the neighborhood, Maya noticed something unusual. Across the street, parked under the dim glow of a streetlight, was a black SUV. Its windows were tinted, making it impossible to see inside. At first, she thought maybe it belonged to someone visiting a neighbor, but something about it caught her attention. The car hadn't been there earlier, and it didn't move even as other vehicles passed by. Curiosity tugged at her, but exhaustion quickly took over. With her mom finally home from work and tending to Grandma Ruth, Maya crawled into bed, her mind swirling with questions. Who were those officers, and why had they acted the way they did? Would anyone ever hold them accountable? And what about that black SUV? Was it connected to what happened, or was it just coincidence? As sleep slowly claimed her, Maya clung to one thought. Tomorrow would be a new day. No matter how hard things got, she promised herself she wouldn't give up. Not on her dream, not on her grandma, and certainly not on fighting for what was right. The next morning, the neighborhood buzzed with energy, but this time it wasn't the cheerful kind. News of what happened at Maya's bake sale had spread like wildfire, igniting emotions across the community. Neighbors who hadn't even been there the day before were now talking about it over coffee, sharing updates on social media, and calling local news stations. By mid-morning, a small crowd had gathered again outside Maya's house, not to buy cookies this time, but to show support. Mrs. Patel brought steaming cups of chai for Maya and her family, while Mr. Jenkins carried a basket filled with fresh fruit. "You're not alone in this," he said firmly, setting the basket down on their porch. Others came bearing hugs, kind words, and offers to help however they could. Even kids from Maya's school showed up, holding handmade signs that read things like "Justice for Maya" and "We stand with you." For the first time since the incident, Maya felt a flicker of hope. Maybe she wasn't powerless after all. Grandma Ruth, resting on the couch with her wrist wrapped in bandages, became the heart of the gathering. Despite her injury, she insisted on sitting near the window so she could wave at everyone passing by. Her voice, though softer than usual, carried strength when she spoke. "This isn't just about us," she told the crowd. "It's about standing up for what's right, for every child who deserves to chase their dreams without fear." Her words struck a chord, inspiring cheers from those nearby. Maya watched in awe as her grandma turned pain into purpose, showing her once again how to be brave. Later that afternoon, someone set up a makeshift vigil on the front lawn. Candles flickered in glass jars, surrounded by flowers and notes of encouragement. A young artist named Tasha painted a mural on a large piece of plywood, a bright yellow umbrella surrounded by stars, symbolizing Maya's resilience. People paused to take pictures, vowing to share them online to keep the story alive. Social media posts tagged Maya's dream began trending locally, drawing attention far beyond the neighborhood. Strangers from other cities started sending messages of solidarity and even donations. As the day wore on, Maya noticed something strange. That black SUV was still parked across the street, unmoved since the night before. It sat quietly under the shade of a tree, its tinted windows hiding whoever or whatever was inside. At first, Maya tried to ignore it, focusing instead on thanking her neighbors and helping her mom organize the growing pile of gifts and supplies. But curiosity got the better of her. Who would park there for hours without saying anything? Was it connected to what happened yesterday? Finally, unable to resist any longer, Maya decided to investigate. She slipped on her sneakers and walked cautiously toward the SUV, her heart pounding with each step. As she approached, the driver's door opened slowly, revealing a tall woman with sharp features and an air of confidence. She stepped out wearing a crisp blazer and dark slacks, her expression calm but serious. "Hi, Maya," the woman said softly. "My name is Evelyn Carter." Maya froze, unsure whether to feel scared or relieved. Evelyn held up her hand slightly as if sensing Maya's hesitation. "I'm here to help," she explained. "I heard about what happened, and I want to make sure justice is served. For you, your grandma, and everyone else who deserves better." Something in Evelyn's tone made Maya believe her. She introduced herself shyly, glancing back at her house to see if anyone was watching. Evelyn smiled warmly. "You've already done so much, Maya. Now let me do my part." For the first time, since the chaos began, Maya felt a spark of optimism. Maybe this stranger in the black SUV wasn't just another mystery. Maybe she was exactly what they needed to turn things around. Evelyn Carter's arrival felt like a turning point, though Maya wasn't entirely sure what to make of her yet. The tall, polished woman exuded confidence, but there was also a kindness in her eyes that put Maya at ease. After introducing herself, Evelyn asked if they could talk somewhere quiet. Maya led her to the backyard, where Grandma Ruth sat resting, under the shade of an old oak tree. Evelyn greeted Ruth respectfully, calling her Mrs. Johnson, and pulled up a chair to sit beside them. "I used to be a civil rights attorney," Evelyn began, her voice calm but firm. "Now I work as a private investigator, helping people who've been treated unfairly, especially when it comes to cases involving law enforcement." She paused, letting her words sink in. "What happened to you two isn't right, and I want to help you get answers. And justice." Maya listened, intently, her curiosity growing with every word. Justice? It sounded like something out of a movie, not real life. But Evelyn made it seem possible. She explained how she would dig into the officers' backgrounds, file requests for official records, and gather evidence to build a strong case. "You're not alone in this," Evelyn said firmly. "We'll do this together." Grandma Ruth nodded slowly, her sharp gaze fixed on Evelyn. "It's not just about us," she reminded her. "This is about sending a message that no one should have to go through what we did." Evelyn agreed, promising to handle everything carefully while keeping them informed every step of the way. By the end of their conversation, Maya felt a newfound sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could fight back against what had happened. As Evelyn left to start her investigation, Maya couldn't stop thinking about her promise. For days afterward, Evelyn became a constant presence in their lives, though always respectful of their space. She spent hours combing through documents, making phone calls, and meeting with local activists who wanted to support Maya's cause. Each day brought new updates. A neighbor had recorded part of the incident on their phone. Another found old news articles about similar complaints against the same officers. Piece by piece, Evelyn was building a picture of systemic neglect and misconduct. Meanwhile, Maya threw herself into organizing a larger event, a community fundraiser to replace the ruined bake sale. With Evelyn's encouragement, she turned it into more than just a way to raise money for her robotics team. This time, it would be a celebration of resilience, a chance for the neighborhood to come together and show solidarity. Flyers went up around town advertising the event, and volunteers poured in to help. Kids decorated banners, parents baked goods, and even local businesses donated supplies. The whole neighborhood seemed united under one goal, standing up for Maya and others like her. The black SUV became a familiar sight during these busy days, always parked nearby as if watching over them. Sometimes Evelyn stepped out to check in, offering advice or simply lending a hand. Other times she stayed inside, typing furiously on her laptop or reviewing files. To Maya, the SUV started feeling less like a mystery and more like a symbol of protection, a reminder that someone powerful was finally on their side. One evening, as Maya helped stack chairs in preparation for the big event, she glanced across the street at the SUV. Inside, Evelyn sat illuminated by the soft glow of her laptop screen, her brow furrowed in concentration. Maya realized then that this wasn't just about fixing what had gone wrong. It was about proving that good people could still stand up and make things right. With Evelyn guiding them and her community rallying behind her, Maya knew they were ready to face whatever came next. Evelyn's investigation quickly turned into a whirlwind of activity, and Maya watched in awe as pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Evelyn wasn't just thorough, she was relentless. She spent hours on the phone filing Freedom of Information Act requests to uncover records about the officers involved. She interviewed neighbors who had witnessed the incident, jotting down notes with precision. And she didn't stop there. Evelyn reached out to local journalists, activists, and even lawyers specializing in civil rights cases, building a network of support around Maya and her family. It wasn't long before Evelyn uncovered troubling patterns. The two officers who had shown up at the bake sale weren't strangers to controversy. Over the past few years, they had been named in multiple complaints from residents, many of whom were black, alleging aggressive behavior, racial profiling, and misuse of authority. Some of these complaints had been brushed aside without proper investigation, while others disappeared entirely. Evelyn compiled all this information into a detailed report, determined to expose the truth. Meanwhile, Maya threw herself into organizing the community event, channeling her frustration into action. What started as a simple bake sale replacement grew into something much bigger, a day-long festival called Stand for Justice. Local musicians offered to perform. Artists painted murals live, and food trucks donated portions of their sales to Maya's robotics team. Flyers went viral online, drawing attention not only from nearby neighborhoods but also from people across the country. Donations poured in through an online fundraiser Evelyn set up, far exceeding what Maya had hoped to raise. The night before the event, Maya stood in the backyard with Grandma Ruth, staring at the growing pile of supplies stacked neatly on their porch. "I never imagined it would get this big," Maya said softly, her voice tinged with both excitement and disbelief. Ruth smiled, patting her granddaughter's shoulder. "That's because you inspired people, sweetheart. You showed them that even when life knocks you down, you can still stand tall." But not everyone was happy about the attention Maya's story was getting. As the event drew closer, anonymous threats began appearing online. Someone posted hateful comments on the fundraiser page calling Maya's family troublemakers and warning them to back off. One night, Maya woke up to the sound of shattering glass. A rock had been thrown through their front window, leaving behind a spray of shards and a note scrawled in red marker. "Stop causing problems." Fear crept into their home, but Evelyn refused to let it win. The very next morning, she arranged for extra security measures, including installing cameras around the house and hiring off-duty officers from a neighboring town to patrol the area during the event. Neighbors formed a human chain around Maya's home one evening, holding candles and singing songs of unity. It was a powerful moment, reminding Maya that no matter how scary things got, she wasn't alone. Through it all, the black van continued to be a steadfast presence. Evelyn worked tirelessly, often staying late into the night to ensure every detail was covered. On the eve of the festival, she sat with Maya and Ruth, going over the final plans. "Tomorrow is going to be amazing," Evelyn said confidently. "Not because of me, but because of you. You've already inspired so many people, Maya. Tomorrow you'll inspire even more." As Maya drifted off to sleep that night, she thought about everything that had happened. The pain, the fear, the love, and the courage. She realized that standing up for justice wasn't easy, but it was worth it. With her community by her side, and Evelyn leading the charge, Maya felt ready to face whatever came next. The day of the Stand for Justice festival arrived, and the neighborhood transformed into a vibrant hub of energy. Bright banners fluttered in the breeze, music filled the air, and the smell of freshly grilled food mingled with the scent of baked goods. People from all over the city came to show their support, turning what could have been a small gathering into a massive celebration of resilience and unity. Maya stood at the center of it all, wearing a bright yellow t-shirt that read, "Dream big, fight hard," a phrase Evelyn had suggested. Despite the excitement, there was an undercurrent of tension. The anonymous threats hadn't stopped. Someone had even spray-painted hateful words on the side of their garage overnight. But instead of letting fear take over, the community rallied harder. Neighbors scrubbed away the graffiti together, replacing it with colorful murals of hope and strength. When Maya saw the mural of her smiling face surrounded by stars and robots, she felt tears welling up in her eyes. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone who believed in fairness and justice. Evelyn stayed close throughout the day, her sharp eyes scanning the crowd while she coordinated with the security team she'd arranged. The black SUV was parked nearby, its presence reassuring. Whenever Maya glanced at it, she felt a surge of gratitude. Evelyn wasn't just helping them fight back, she was protecting them. At one point, a group of people approached Maya holding signs that read, "We believe you." They handed her letters of encouragement written by students from other schools, each one filled with kind words and promises to stand against injustice. As the festival went on, Maya took turns working at different booths, chatting with visitors and sharing her story. Kids lined up to try robot-themed cupcakes decorated with edible gears and circuits, while adults browsed handmade crafts donated by local artisans. A stage had been set up where musicians performed soulful songs, poets delivered stirring verses, and speakers talked about systemic issues affecting marginalized communities. Every speech ended with the same message: change starts when people come together. But not everyone in attendance supported the cause. Across the street, a small group of protesters held signs criticizing Maya's family and accusing them of exaggerating the incident. Their voices were loud, but they were drowned out by cheers from the crowd. Neighbors formed a human wall between the protesters and the festival, chanting phrases like "love over hate" and "justice for all." Maya watched from afar, her heart swelling with pride. Her community wasn't backing down. They were standing stronger than ever. By late afternoon, something remarkable happened. A reporter from a major news station showed up, drawn by the widespread attention the event had garnered online. Cameras rolled as Maya spoke about her dream of joining the robotics team and how her bake sale had turned into a movement. When asked about the officers involved, Evelyn stepped in calmly, explaining the evidence they'd uncovered and calling for accountability. "This isn't just about one incident," Evelyn said firmly. "It's about addressing patterns of misconduct and ensuring this doesn't happen again." As the sun began to set, casting golden light over the bustling scene, Maya looked around at the sea of smiling faces. For every act of hate, there had been 10 acts of love. For every attempt to silence her, there had been hundreds of voices, speaking up. She realized then that justice wasn't just about punishing wrongdoing. It was about creating a world where such harm couldn't happen in the first place. That night, as the festival wound down, Evelyn pulled Maya aside. "You've done something incredible today," she said, her voice full of admiration. "But remember, this is just the beginning. Real change takes time." Maya nodded, feeling both exhausted and invigorated. With her community beside her, and Evelyn guiding the way, she knew they were ready to keep fighting, for justice, for equality, and for dreams that refused to be silenced. In the weeks following the Stand for Justice festival, Evelyn's hard work began to bear fruit. The evidence she had gathered painted a damning picture of the officers involved in the bake sale incident. Records showed a pattern of misconduct, stretching back years. Complaints dismissed without investigation, victims ignored, and repeated violations of protocol. Evelyn shared her findings with local authorities demanding accountability, but she also made sure the story reached the public. She sent copies of her report to journalists, activists, and advocacy groups, ensuring that the truth couldn't be swept under the rug. The media coverage exploded. Stories about Maya and her family appeared on national news outlets, sparking outrage across the country. Viewers were moved by the image of a young girl whose dream had been derailed by injustice, and then reignited by her community's unwavering support. Social media lit up with hashtags like Justice for Maya and Stand With Her, drawing attention not only to Maya's case but also to broader issues of systemic inequality. People from all walks of life chimed in, sharing their own experiences of unfair treatment and calling for reform. Under mounting pressure, the police department launched an internal investigation into the officers' actions. It wasn't long before details emerged that confirmed Evelyn's findings. Both officers were placed on administrative leave pending further review. While this didn't bring immediate justice, it was a step forward, a sign that voices raised together could make those in power listen. Evelyn kept pushing, filing formal complaints and working with legal teams to ensure the officers faced consequences beyond suspension. Meanwhile, Maya's robotics team fundraiser soared past its goal, thanks to donations pouring in from around the world. Strangers sent heartfelt messages alongside their contributions, many saying they saw themselves in Maya's story. One donor wrote, "I was told my dreams didn't matter once too. Keep going, you're inspiring us all." With the extra funds, Maya decided to expand the program, creating scholarships for other kids who might struggle to afford participation fees. Her dream was no longer just hers, it belonged to everyone fighting for a fairer future. But even as victories piled up, Maya and her family remained vigilant. Anonymous threats continued, though less frequently now, and the house still felt tense at night. Evelyn stayed nearby, her black SUV a constant presence outside their home. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes, arranging security measures, and connecting Maya's family with counselors to help them process everything they'd been through. Despite the lingering fear, Maya found comfort in knowing she wasn't alone. Every time she looked out the window and saw that SUV, she remembered Evelyn's promise, "You are protected." One evening, as Maya sat on the porch with Grandma Ruth, watching neighbors decorate their street with ribbons of yellow and blue, the colors of hope, they reflected on how far they'd come. "We stood our ground," Ruth said softly, her wrinkled hands resting on her lap, "and we showed people what happens when you refuse to stay silent." Maya nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. What started as a simple bake sale had grown into a movement, one that reminded everyone of the power of courage and unity. As autumn leaves began to fall, bringing cooler air and a sense of renewal, Maya received another piece of good news. The robotics team had qualified for a prestigious national competition, an achievement that once seemed impossible. When she broke the news to her mom and grandma, tears flowed freely, but this time they were tears of joy. Evelyn stopped by to congratulate her, handing her a small gift wrapped in shiny paper. Inside was a leather-bound journal embossed with the words, "Dream big, fight hard." "Write your story," Evelyn urged, "so others can learn from it." For Maya, the journey wasn't over. It never truly would be. But she knew she'd already won something far greater than any trophy or title. She'd shown herself, her community, and the world that standing up for justice wasn't just possible. It was necessary. And she'd done it without losing sight of her dreams. Months later, Maya stood nervously at the edge of a bustling convention center, her robotics team huddled around her. The national competition was in full swing and the air buzzed with excitement. Students from all over the country showcased their inventions, robots that could climb walls, sort recyclables, or even mimic human movements. Maya's team had worked tirelessly to perfect their project, a small, affordable robot designed to help elderly people remember daily tasks like taking medication or locking doors. It was inspired by Grandma Ruth, who joked that she needed one herself. As they presented their invention to the judges, Maya spoke with confidence. her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. She explained how the idea came from seeing her grandma struggle after her injury, and how it symbolized resilience, a reminder that challenges can spark creativity. When the judges asked questions, Maya answered clearly, her passion shining through every word. By the time they finished their presentation, the room erupted into applause. Even if they didn't win, Maya felt proud knowing they'd given it their all. That evening, the award ceremony took place in a grand ballroom filled with flashing lights and cheering crowds. As the host announced the winners, Maya held her breath, squeezing her teammates' hands tightly. Third place went to a team from California, second place to a group from Texas, and then finally, the host called out their name. First place goes to Team Resilience from Chicago. For a moment, Maya froze, unsure if she'd heard correctly. Then her teammates erupted into cheers, pulling her onto the stage. Cameras flashed as they accepted their trophy, tears streaming down Maya's face. They'd done it. They'd proven that kids like them could achieve greatness. Back home, the neighborhood celebrated their victory with a block party bigger than any before. Streamers hung from lampposts, music blared from speakers, and tables groaned under the weight of food donated by local businesses. Grandma Ruth, now fully recovered, sat front and center, beaming with pride. "I always knew you could do it," she said, pulling Maya into a tight hug. Evelyn Carter was there too, smiling quietly as she watched the festivities unfold. Before leaving town, she handed Maya another gift, a framed photo of the mural Tasha had painted during the festival, with Maya standing proudly beneath it. "Never forget where you came from," Evelyn said, "and never stop fighting for what's right." As the black SUV drove away for the last time, Maya realized how much Evelyn had changed their lives. She wasn't just an investigator. She was a mentor, a protector, and a beacon of hope. Maya promised herself she'd pay it forward someday, helping others the way Evelyn had helped her. In the weeks that followed, Maya began filling the journal Evelyn had given her. She wrote about the bake sale, the injustice they faced, and the incredible journey that followed. Each entry was a testament to her growth, from a shy girl chasing a dream to a brave advocate for justice. Her story spread further when she shared excerpts online, inspiring countless readers to stand up against unfairness in their own lives. Looking ahead, Maya knew there would still be challenges. The fight for equality wasn't over, and neither was her personal journey. But she also knew she wasn't alone. Her community, her family, and the lessons she'd learned along the way would always guide her. Standing on the porch one evening, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maya smiled. She had faced fear, anger, and doubt, and come out stronger on the other side. Her dream hadn't just survived, it had grown. And so had she.